Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Monday, the 20th day of November, 2023. Monday of the 33rd week of the year, the 33rd week in Ordinary Time. Just 2 weeks left to our church year, to our liturgical year, and the season of Advent is on the horizon. It is Thanksgiving week. It is very quiet here on the campus of St. Francis and the Franciscan School because we are already on Thanksgiving break. So it's kind of sad not to have everybody running around. But in this downtime, we are getting ready to prepare for Thanksgiving, getting ready to prepare for the end of the church year, and then the season of Advent. So a lot of work is being done. We're cutting down our trees. But because it is Thanksgiving week, it probably would be good to take a look. And I'm just going to make sure I do not fall down as I walk down the stairs over here to the log cabin. And so we have, I don't exactly know who is doing the leaves over there. But look over here at the log cabin and our Franciscan Victory Garden, which has been harvested already. Again, at this time of harvest, but just to remind everyone, we still have some winter vegetables here, all kinds of other sorts of things that can still yet be harvested. Again, this great work that we do in cooperation with our Franciscan tradition and the nurturing and reverence for creation is this wonderful garden right over here. So there's the Franciscan garden, as you can see, and then the front steps of the log cabin, which also is now being used as some kind of staging area for more plants and things like that. But that is what happens here. Just a couple other things you probably never ever realized. There is, and again, I don't know how much we take care of these things. I always say we need to take better care of this. There's a nice little trellis and a little bench, right over here to look out upon the garden. If anybody wanted to ever do that. It's kind of one of these unsung places here on the campus of St. Francis that needs a little bit more notoriety, more notification. I believe, is this? Yeah, it's rosemary. It's a nice little rosemary plant over there. Free for the taking. Yeah, it's right outside the garden itself. So anyway, looking at the readings for today on this 33rd Monday of the 33rd week of the year we move from wisdom now to the great book of Maccabees, and setting up again what will become the great saga, the very sad and tragic saga, but also a saga that is filled with redemption, with power, with hope, of this family that dares to oppose what became basically the Greek incursion into the Holy Land. So if you know a little bit about your history, Alexander the Great conquers most of the Middle East and even unto Persia, into what is Iran and Iraq today. Then he dies. So he dies a very young death, contracting some kind of disease, and his kingdom, the empire that he has created, which goes around parts of northern Africa, to the eastern part of Europe, then into the Middle East and into Persia. He divides that amongst his generals, or it's divided amongst his generals. Alexander's dead, so they don't know what to do. So they divide the empire up, and the Seleucids get the area that goes from Persia to the Mediterranean. The Ptolemies get Egypt, and a couple of other people get the other parts of it. But the Seleucids were not a nice group of people towards any other kinds of nationality or cultures or things like that. They wanted uniformity, and they wanted union through uniformity of practice, and particularly when it comes to religion, this is what they desired. Now, Charlemagne will desire the same kind of thing, when you come to the modern period in the 800s in France, but that's a whole other story. But the Seleucids decide that they need to create this unity to keep the empire, their part of the empire, intact. And so they demand that the Jewish people basically worship their gods and goddesses. And it seems quite attractive, to many of the Jewish people, because you make these allegiances with these great people, these great powers, and they think that brings prosperity. But then one of the things that that the king does, who is Antiochus Epiphanes, and he sets up basically a statue of Jupiter within the temple. Again, the abomination of abominations. He also creates a gymnasium in Jerusalem, which perhaps was very good for health, but the Jews didn't like that. And so what happens is now you begin to get resistance, and resistance begins to grow. Not wanting to eat the food sacrificed to idols, not wanting to eat those kinds of things that would pollute the body from Jewish custom and things like that. So you have this great kingdom, trying again to stamp out a Jewish identity, to stamp out Israeli identity, the chosen people's identity, for the sake, of this other identity, which is foreign and not consistent with God's people and God's covenant with God's people. We will see what happens now with this resistance that begins to form against Antiochus and his reign. In the Gospels today, in Luke's Gospel today, I was trying so hard to remember the first reading and forgot the Gospel again. The Gospel today, it is from Luke, and it's the 18th chapter of Luke, and it's a man born blind. Yes, it's a blind man. And again, unlike in John's gospel, where the blind man does not seem to request to be healed of his blindness, this man yells out, to Jesus, "Son of David, have pity on me. Son of David, heal me." And the apostles, in their own ridiculous way of thinking, not to bother Jesus with small things, tells the man to shut up and be quiet, but he shouts out all the more. And the man basically asks Jesus, Jesus asked the man, "What do you want?" And he says, "I want to see." And basically that determination and that faith grants him that request, and he is able to see once again. What this shows us basically is persistence with God, and do not listen to people who basically say, do not bother God with this kind of thing, or God cannot be bothered with this kind of thing, or anybody who says that God cannot be bothered with the basic line care for us, do not know what they are talking about, because God wants to care for us, and God wants to care for what it is, that we need, and wants to solve the problems and the issues that we experience in our lives. That God is there to rescue us. God is there to help. We've got to both ask for it, and we've got to see when it is being given to us. Two, perhaps the most greatest challenges in our life sometimes, to truly ask for what it is that we need, but then to see where it is being given to us. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.